All right, in this video, we're going to take a tour of the WordPress dashboard so you can kind of get oriented with what's what. And in future videos, we're going to go into more detail of what these individual parts of the WordPress dashboard or backend are. My name is Chris Badgett. I'm a partner at CodeBox and co-creator of the learning management system plugin for WordPress called Lifter LMS, which allows you to easily create and sell online courses from a WordPress website with any well-coded WordPress theme. All right, well, let's jump right into the WordPress dashboard. So if you kind of look on the left side here, you'll see the main WordPress menu items. So right now, when you first log in at WP-admin, you're actually on this dashboard menu item. So we can see like recent comments. You can use this quick post thing. Here's a little widget for WordPress news. And really, I want to draw your attention to this screen options menu item. I don't want WordPress news, so I'm going to uncheck that. Me personally, I've never in my life used quick draft, so I'm going to uncheck that. And the activity and the at a glance I kind of like, so I'll just put these two side by side and just basically I just cleaned up my WordPress dashboard a little bit. So let's take a look at this next menu item called Home, which is the dashboard's deal. This updates menu item just lets us know that we have the latest version of WordPress, but it looks like one of the themes that's installed with this WordPress install 2012 has an update available. So if we were going to update, we could just check that and hit update themes. So that is the update panel. And posts we're going to go into great detail with, but when you first install WordPress, you have a sample post. It's called Hello World. It's in the uncategorized category. So that's where these categories come in, and then there's also tags you can add. So we'll get into more of that detail when we talk about blog posts. Now, similar to blog posts are pages. So a page is just or I would say a blog post is more chronological content that's like breaking news or attached to a date and that sort of thing. Whereas a page is more of a static thing, like your About page or your Contact Us page. So pages are very similar to posts. They just kind of actually have like less content. You know, like you don't really use categories with pages or tags. You just put static content on a page. So media, we have this media library. This is where when you're adding pictures or to your posts, that those end up in the those JPEGs, those PNGs, those image files end up in your media library, which is essentially a folder on your hosting account. You can add media directly from a post or page, or you can just add stuff in bulk to the media library through here. We touched on pages, comments, posts and pages can have comments, and basically all a comment is it allows somebody to put in their name and their website and their email address and leave a comment on an article you wrote or on a page on your website if you allow comments. Comments can be turned on and off. In many cases, people don't use comments, but they are there for you. Appearance. This is a big part of what makes WordPress so awesome. So the big one here is themes. And if we look at the WordPress themes, the group that makes WordPress also makes these themes. So 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015 are made by the WordPress team. There's hundreds of thousands of WordPress themes out there, some free, some paid, and they're so different in what they do. But these are usually you get the 4 most recent ones made by the team who make WordPress. And right now you can see we're using this one, which is 2015, the latest WordPress theme from the WordPress team. And we'll get more into themes in another video. The customizer is an area that allows you to change things. So if we wanted to make our site title shorter, we could try it here with like a real live preview. Here's our tagline. So beginner. So things like that. That just allows us to play with things before we actually save and publish it to the live site. So we can also change the the color of our stuff on the side here if we wanted to. So that's a little customizer thing over there. And here's another area that we could kind of change it up in terms of our color scheme. And the header image, we'll get into that as we start adding content. We can also do this background image. We can start adding widgets to the sidebar here. In this case, I want to remove the archives widget. So you'll see that one disappear. I want to remove the meta widget. You'll see that one disappear. And let's remove the recent comments widget. And I'm actually going to remove the recent post widget and the categories widget. So we'll just leave that search widget up here for now, just starting with a very basic site, and I'm actually going to save and publish those changes. So that's the customizer, and let's go back into our dashboard. We were just messing with the widgets from the customizer, but you can also do that from over here. So these are all the basic widgets that come when you install WordPress for the first time. So we'll get into more of widgets in a future video training. The menu. This is where you could create a menu for your website, and we'll get into that in more detail. The header. We'll get into custom header design in a little bit, and same with the background. And the right here, this area called the editor. This is where it starts getting really technical, and you really don't want to go in here unless you know what you're doing and you know web development. A lot of times we end up working with style.css to add custom things, or working with the footer.php or header.php, but you don't need to worry about any of this stuff. This is for web developers, and that's what this editor item is. So if you do go in here and you're not a web developer, I would recommend getting out of there as soon as possible and don't hit the update file button. Plugins. This is where we can add additional functionality, pre-built little packages of code that add additional functionality to our website. I recommend a minimalist approach to plugins. I've seen sites that have like 2 plugins active. I've seen sites that have 100 plugins active. Really, in my opinion, the sweet spot is somewhere around 0 to, I don't know, 10, 12 plugins as a maximum. Because the more plugins you have active, the more of a chance there could be conflict. And anyways, that's what plugins do. Users is where all the users are. So you can see right now it's just me as the site administrator. And there's different types of tools you can use. We're not going to get into any of that. And the settings are important. So if we look at our general setting, we've got our site title, our tagline. We would type in the email address like that we want this website to email to. So if somebody leaves a comment on the website, who needs to be notified? So you should put your email address in there. And that's just kind of the basics for the general settings. For the writing, you don't really need to do too much here. Eventually, once we add some categories, we're going to change our default post category from uncategorized to something else. But let's see, reading over here. We'll get into this in more detail, but this is essentially, do you want your homepage to be your blog, or do you want it to be like a static page? And we'll start messing with this. How many blog posts do you want displayed and in your RSS feed and so on? So if you wanted to try to hide your site from the search engines while you build it, you could check this box, but be sure to uncheck it when you're ready to go live so that people can actually find your website when you're ready for that. Here's some more discussion settings about how strict you want to be on your comments and everything. Media settings. Permalinks is one that I often recommend people just change it to from default, where it does this like $P equals to post name right here. This is a much more user-friendly and visually aesthetic way for the URLs for your individual web pages and on your site and your blog posts to look, as opposed to having random numeric strings. So you can save changes on that. And at the bottom here, Akismet is, we're not going to set this up yet, but this is our anti-spam plugin. So that's a quick tour of the WordPress dashboard. I know there's a lot there and it can be a little overwhelming at first, but it's good to kind of look at everything, see what it is, and we're going to kind of go through it in more detail on the important parts that you need to focus on to get your first website up in just a weekend.